What's up, everybody? It's John here in plain sight, and I hope you're able to see the Martingale system that I've adopted. Again, I like it because you don't have to win every matchup. You can just exploit the favorable ones, and again, by the third or fourth leg, almost with certainty, we're going to hit. So, yesterday we went with Ohio State. Very odd game. There were like 6 personal fouls on us, but that's kind of the nature of the beast. We understand that these games aren't going to be all on the up and up. And then we went with Tennessee. That one had a bizarre ending. They had it covered until the very end. They played odd. And then, of course, the last leg was, like I said, I thought Bama and Ohio State were going to cover for the simple reason, and that's another reason I like this system. You can watch trends as the day develops, and you'll see Michigan was favored by 14, didn't cover. Georgia was favored by 40, didn't cover. Obviously, Iowa State didn't cover. Penn State, they were 20-point favorites, so they didn't cover. I mean, most of these teams that were heavy favorites, Pittsburgh did cover. They were like 17. Clemson didn't. Tennessee didn't. So you just go down the list. Miami lost, didn't even cover. Ole Miss didn't cover. So going into the night games, I did expect a couple top 5 teams to cover. And as there was only 2 in playing, I liked both of them. Ohio State just made more sense to me because they've proven to be a much better offense and defense versus mostly a top defense. And that's why I liked Ohio State. So now we're going to go into NFL because now we're back to our first leg. So as you can see, we've profited about $25. We came into yesterday with about $184, $185. And we made our $25 win, which is all that we were hoping for. So going down this list, some jump out as traps immediately. Like I had pointed out before, the Colts do jump out as a trap to me because, again, nothing in my opinion should have the Chiefs as 5.5-point favorites. They should be about 12 to 13, if we're being honest, with the way they didn't cover, but they beat the Chargers. They beat them by 3. And they've played a good season so far. The Colts drew with the Texans and then played a very bad game the next week. So this is an interesting one. It doesn't meet all of the criteria, no, because, again, it doesn't really fit the narrative. Like the Chiefs. So typically the Chiefs win this game, they cover, but the spread has me a little thrown off. The Bears is another one. I feel like the Bears should cover based off how the Texans have played this year. But I'm going to start off with the Jets. And part of this is because I used to be a Jets fan. I grew up a Jets fan. And so what do we have? We have the Jets, who had a miraculous victory that everyone's talking about. And now they're at home against the Bengals. The Bengals who were unable to beat the Steelers and were only 4.5-point favorites last week. The Browns were about 5-point favorites against the Jets, and the Browns were at home. So again, Vegas is saying, despite what the Browns have done and what the Bengals have done, they believe the Bengals will win by 6. And I think most people are going to see this game, and you'll see it goes between 5.5 and maybe 6, 6.5. I think most people are going to love the Jets in this game. At home, I think some people might just take them outright. And the Jets are definitely one of those teams that will just have a ridiculous game or even a couple. And then they just let you down when you pick them. So, again, if the spread was like 3 points, something along those lines, then I think it'd be more accurate. But when they have the Bengals by a touchdown, and when you compare that to some of the other matchups for the week, again, I think the Bears should be bigger favorites over the Texans than the Bengals are over the Jets. You have Buffalo. So Buffalo and Dolphins had a good week, but again, so they got the Bills only by 4.5 in Miami. Of all these games, the Bengals are the biggest favorites of the entire week, outside of Minnesota at home. So, in my opinion, they actually are the biggest favorites of the week because, they're 6. Yeah, so to me, this jumps out. So this is going to be our first bet. And someone recommended the Jets game. I think it might have in the comments. I'm guessing it stuck out to them as well. So in this case, again, our bet's $25. So we are just going to pick the Bengals to cover the spread. And you could opt to buy points, but again, doesn't seem like a lot, but it winds up making a big difference, especially when you're doing this kind of system. So we're just going to go with the 6 to win 25. And it's going to be $27.50 this time. And again, so the way this works, let's just say the Bengals do not cover. Our next bet's going to be $27.50 plus another 25. And that'll win us back our $27.50 plus, of course, we'll pick up a 25. So that's what I like for the 1 o'clock game. Yesterday, as I got my videos up, the games were coming out like 10, 20 minutes later because as one game's ending, obviously, you don't have much time. So what I am going to do is do a preview of the next video I'll be doing, just so people have an idea. So whether the Jets win or lose, of course, we either repeat our Martingale and we go back to the first game, or we continue on to the second. Of these games that are listed, a few, again, jump out at me. The Cardinals at home is an interesting one. Again, 3.5 looks kind of light for the Rams. And this is one of those contentious divisional matchups that you will usually see, even if it's a much better team, win or lose by exactly a field goal. So that one, as well as the Packers-Bucks, is interesting. I think they're going to make the Packers-Bucks a close game, just because people want to see a shootout between Rodgers and Brady. So what I can say is, again, the Jets is our pick. As far as the second leg, or for the 4 o'clock game, I will have a video out. But of these games, I do like Arizona to cover that 3.5 point spread. I think, again, that's a Vegas trap. But that'll, like I said, most likely be my next video. And I'll go into that. Again, these injuries also become a narrative. It doesn't seem like anything, but when you see a couple players in a defensive back unit, like you have the Rams with 3 of their secondary players out and 2 of them start, they'll talk about that narrative all game, about how their secondary is weakened. So I think, again, this one's not official yet, but it's most likely going to be our second leg. But we'll see how the Jets goes. Again, I think the Jets, after last week, you can see they're kind of plagued with injuries as well. The worst injury here is going to be Jermaine Pratt for the Bengals. And then the worst injury for the Jets is obviously Corey Davis. Whitehead's a big injury. Quinnen Williams is a giant injury. So, as you can see, I think that's going to be the story. Mixon has a good game. Burrows has his first good game. And the Bengals improved to 1-2 against the spread, and which would make the Jets 1-2 as well. I don't see the Bengals starting off 0-3 against the spread. While they do want to have this Super Bowl hangover narrative going, I don't think they're going to just have a horrible season. I think they'll definitely win against the Jets here and cover the spread. So I appreciate everyone that's been watching along with the system. Like I said, as you can see, it's not always pretty, but so now we're at 181 with that bet. But it does wind up over time giving you steady profits. So if you have any other games you want specifically talked about, just please let me know. And again, happy earnings.